Tamara, right?
Yes.
Either name is very pretty, like you are. Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back. How long has it been since you've been on the program?
I'm thinking 5 or 6 years. It's been a while.
And we certainly always welcome homeschool moms on this program, and I've had so many write and say they appreciate it. That a lot of times just women who stay home are looked down upon, and then they see somebody who actually homeschools their children, and they think, why? And you have 5 children, and I guess that's another why.
Well, because God wants me to, for sure. I know that. But I love it, too. I really do. I wouldn't have it any other way right now.
That's a very good reason. Give us the age span of your children.
Okay. Well, all the ages or just the
Yeah,
span?
let's have all of them.
Okay. Because I told you before, I have to concentrate. Okay, I have almost 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 10-year-old, 11, and 19-year-old.
So they're really, they are really spread out.
Yes.
And you say that God called you to do that. I have no doubt about that. But what led up to that? Because you've kind of done it all the way through. With the you started with the one who's 19 now.
Yes. Right. Well, I was a public school teacher for 6 years, and I also tutored elementary school kids. And I have that's my background. My degree was in elementary curriculum, and in school I started seeing things that were little red flags to me that were just socialization issues, the peer issues, bullying, the safety. And I kept coming home to my husband saying, I don't know if I want our son, because he was 4 at the time, even in my classroom, even if I was the teacher.
Wow.
And I was at a good school. It was a top 10 school in the state of Florida. So I was in a great school. And even for me, which I thought I was an effective teacher, but there were so many things going on in my classroom that were beyond my control.
Yes, and you're restricted, right, as a teacher?
Very. With discipline,
right?
And choosing curriculum, and when you have children into your classroom that are from families that are not very supportive or teaching them values, and then they're with children that have other kinds of family values, and so you have this clash. And I just kept thinking of my 4-year-old that last year I was in the classroom. I didn't want him in a classroom, even if it was mine, because there were many issues and things I could not control. And
I think that's such an eye-opening situation, because that was 15 years ago.
yes.
Now, they weren't teaching same-sex marriage. They weren't teaching all kinds of absolute degradation to children beginning very, very young. So with your background as a teacher, you weren't really overwhelmed teaching.
No, but you know, the enemy is very good at still putting that fear in any mother and any parent when it comes to homeschooling. I've seen it across the board. If you've been a classroom teacher or this is brand new to you, homeschooling in education, because I still had that fear coming home to my own son. I kept thinking, well, I was trained to teach a classroom. I wasn't trained to teach one.
And you were experienced.
Very experienced. And I still was nervous about teaching my own. It's just that fear, and I really think it's from the enemy.
Absolutely, because the enemy doesn't want your children to learn biblical values.
Right.
I want to get this website up now. We'll leave it up for the rest of the show, and I'll tell you why. It's one of the best websites I have ever seen in my life. I just have to congratulate you.
Thank you so much.
And if you have any qualms about homeschooling and you believe that the Lord might be leading you that direction, I really encourage you to sit down and go through that website. Just take a little time. She's got so many good things in there. And homeschooling, from the bookend, the curriculum and so forth, and this might be a controversial phrase, but it's big business. It's huge.
Yes.
I understand this conference or convention that comes to Orlando is huge, and there's every kind of curriculum you can set up for your own child.
Right. I went there, in May. My family went, and it's booming too. Homeschooling is growing so fast.
Do you have any recent stats on that?
Yes, the most recent one is that homeschooling is growing 7% faster than public school enrollment. And
7%
faster. And they expected to double in the next 10 years. 4% of all school-aged children in the United States are homeschooled.
And you know what is so sad are those children who don't have that opportunity, I think. First place, the Bible says, you shall teach these things to your children.
Right. Impress upon their heart.
Every parent, grandparent, they should really be the primary teachers.
Yes,
no question.
And they are. And that's one thing that I think parents don't think. They can homeschool. I hear all the time, oh, I can't homeschool. I feel God's leading me, but I can't. I'm not a teacher. And I just want to say that's a lie, because you are a teacher. You're your child's most important teacher since they've been born. You've taught them to walk and talk and love and know about God. And you're their most important teacher they will ever have. For some reason, we just think when they turn 5, oh, we need a piece of paper to say I'm a teacher. I can't teach anymore. I guess in a way.
I have talked to more than one who, when they get to those high school age, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that. And then they'll find they could.
Yes.
They took it one step at a time, and the materials are there. Now, this you have written, How to Teach Your Child. And this will be on her website as well. There's another book I saw on your website. It's not Homeschool for Dummies. It's not that rude, but it was like if you're afraid to homeschool.
On the fence, if you're on the fence of homeschooling. And that's what it addresses, because I feel like right now with homeschooling booming, so many parents are right there on the fence. They're looking at it, they're apprehensive about public school now. Maybe private school is not an option economically, and so they're looking like, what are the other options? And I had emailed you that book, On the Fence About Homeschooling, all of a sudden started booming because all these parents are just selling a lot, because parents are right there on the fence and they're a little nervous, and that's what that book addressed, because just if God is calling you to it, He will see you through it. He will He will equip you.
I've noticed the homeschool kids that have been in and out of the studio for the last more than 20 years, they're mature.
Yes.
They are comfortable with adults. They can converse. And before you get all upset about that, in my estimation, what could be dumber than putting a 5-year-old in a room several hours a day with 30 more 5-year-olds?
Right.
That's not very good socialization.
Yes.
And I've noticed, too, homeschool parents have a different, just a little different bend the way they think. And this is good for anybody and everybody, whether you homeschool or not. Everything is education to them.
Yes.
You know, if you driving down the street, you point out a sign to that toddler, that they just have this education is kind of just inborn impulse they have.
Right, like homeschooling becomes your lifestyle. It's not something you do just school hours during the day. It's your life, and it embraces the family and works to your family's schedules and your family's lifestyle, and that's just, it makes it so wholesome. It just brings the family, like I see siblings just become so close. They're truly best friends, and you don't have this sibling rivalry and other issues that families have that are away from each other all day, and then they come home at night, and then there's no time to connect because there's homework, and there's baths, and there's dinner, and then bedtime, and they don't have that connection that when kids grow up together.
What you're talking about is so foreign to most people.
Right?
Because they can't understand. That would be questioned. That's just the way life is. Okay, describe your typical day. Now, I know that yours changes a lot, because I have heard from other homeschool families that when younger ones come along, as they have in your family, the older ones become pretty good tutors.
Definitely.
For the younger
and
ones.
I've seen that. Because I do want to say, for all the moms that may be watching and say, oh, well, I only have one or two, you know, I don't even think I can do it. But it's like God gives you the grace every time. And if you have a larger family, because when I had one or two, I thought, oh, I can never homeschool if I had 3 or 4 or 5. And it's interesting that God just teaches you the patience and the grace every time. And the babies become the main lesson when those seasons of life. Like, we may pull back from some of the studies. They still have their independent work, but the babies just helping mom and learning. My sons, I have 4 boys and 1 girl. She's my youngest, and they're just going to be, I think, the best parents because they know everything about real life parenting and taking care of others.
Now, what's a typical day for you? Your 19-year-old's out of high school by now.
Yes.
But you're teaching 4 children. What's the routine like?
Well, they have, my kids, my older 2 are very independent, and my younger 2 I'm just doing preschool with. So my kids help me. They each have preschool activities to do, my older ones with the little ones. And then when the older children have, with homeschooling now, it's so different. There's so many video programs, online programs, and they have a lot of independent time working. And when they're working independently, then I'm with the toddlers and the little ones doing preschool activities. And then when I'm working with the older ones, I flip-flop and I give them little educational stations or games, like building toys. And one trick a homeschool mom of 8 taught me a long time ago is you pull out boxes of toys that they normally do not play with for the little ones. And you just have like a box of special toys, and when it's school time, when you're busy working with the older children, you give them those box of toys so they're special. And then once school's done,
so
you put those
their school.
up. Yes, during the time. And so I just flip-flop back and forth, but it is amazing. And when you were talking about high school, how parents are so worried or concerned about going to high school and teaching older kids with all the video programs and the online programs now, it is really very easy if you just look for the right curriculum to match your child.
That was going to be my next question. Where do you think, I know that online is quite popular in college.
Yes.
Where is that going? That, to me, could be huge one day.
I know. Well, one of my friend's daughters, she's getting her AA, and she never actually attended a class, and it's from a college that is in Fort Myers. And
now, there are things built into those. They can't cheat, right?
Right. She just goes to school to take her test, but she submits all her work online and everything. And I thought that was very interesting because it shows because with high school, so much stuff is online now.
That's where it's going.
Yes, and so is college.
Now, do your children take standardized tests from time to time?
Now, in Florida, it's not required. Some states it's required. So I do not because
well, you are a teacher.
Yes, and I feel like a test isn't going to show me if they're progressing. It's their daily work, and their tests with me, that's what we're learning on, is going to show me if there's progress being made, because we don't require, or the state doesn't require it right now. But I don't see any need to take standardized tests if you're not required to, because you can see their progress.
You know, that's interesting because Florida, I don't know about other states, but Florida, it's in the newspapers very frequently, and teachers are unhappy because they just have to teach and train to that test.
Exactly. That's a big concern right now.
That's not the full picture, right? What they're learning.
Right. It's not. And teachers are very frustrated with it, because I have friends that are still in the classroom teaching, and they're very frustrated that all these demands and the Common Core and all these things coming out, and they have to teach more to the test. And it's basically not giving children that individualized instruction anymore. It's teaching everybody as a group, like everybody is the same, and that's not real life.
That's not good. In case you just tuned in, I'm talking to Tamara Chilver, and the information is on your screen, also inspiration. As I mentioned earlier, one of the finest websites I've ever seen. If you are at all curious, even curious, or thinking a little bit about homeschooling, I encourage you to go there. Now, how well prepared will your children be for college if they choose to go?
I think more prepared, because, and I was reading up on the statistics, and the recent statistics is, and it's about 46% of high school children attend college. That's from school settings, and 76% was homeschool children attend college. So
wow.
It is higher, and I think colleges love homeschool children because they, instead of giving a cookie cutter application, now there's more room for mentorships that they can show in missionary trips and volunteer positions and work experience, because homeschool students are, that are home, or high school students that are homeschooled, they're not spending all day and the night studying. When they're done with their work, they're out there in the real world, and colleges love that. They love looking at their applications with all these experiences.
I had one homeschool mom on several years ago, and the homeschool class, the day is a lot shorter. And they're learning more, basically, but it's because so much time is wasted. So this girl was getting all of her school done, work done 2 or 3 hours, and then set her sights on being a great pianist. And she took piano, and she had hours to practice, so they can really, more than any other setting, they can really pursue the passion that they have, or whatever God's put in their heart, or whatever their talent might be.
Yes.
There's a lot of time wasted.
I wrote that. I don't know if you saw, I have a book out, Simplify Your Homeschool Day, and it's all the time-saving tips I've learned. And that was the premise of this book, is you can pursue your passions. Homeschooling gives you that freedom to be flexible with your own family schedule, but also to pursue your own passions.
And that's on the website. I encourage you to go there. And you've also written this, How to Teach Your Child. That should be absolutely invaluable to you. Here's something that's disturbing, and I wonder if there's anything in in your life that has put up a red flag. There's a family who came here from Germany because Germany said that their children could not be homeschooled. So they come to America, and guess what? Our Attorney General is giving them a hard time. I understand, or at least the Justice Department's giving them a hard time about homeschooling in America. There's so many things going on that are frightening. Have you given that any thought?
Yes, and homeschool parents are aware of this, and I see it on the sites and talking about it, even at convention, the big homeschool convention, parents were talking about that, and that is a concern, because we believe in that freedom to make that choice for our child. Like, a parent protects their child, and we love our child more than anybody else, and we appreciate that decision for the education, because education is a big decision, and parents want that freedom to make that decision for their children.
Well, the way the nation is going, I think there's cause for concern. But I also know that there are organizations with Christian lawyers that are going to go to bat for the homeschoolers. And another thing, if you want to come against it, you better be careful, because homeschool parents are so determined. You'd have a fight on it. They would have a fight that they've never, ever envisioned.
Yes.
So
I agree.
But I don't know, the inspiration I've had, I've got about 3 seconds to tell this, but I had a homeschool child on here. She's about 7th grade, and she makes freezer jelly. Over there. I've never made jelly in my life. But the interesting thing was, when the show was over, she starts cleaning up the kitchen. she just knew what to do. I thought, there is your homeschool child. And I'm going to be doing more programs on education coming up very, very shortly. I hope you'll pay attention, because Christian kids should be the leader, no question. Hey, join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper, or maybe a homeschool teacher.
If you would like a video copy of today's Homekeepers program for just $19.95, call 1-800-229-0059 for credit card orders, or send a gift of at least $19.95 to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. Be sure to note the program number which appears on your screen.